Hey guys, welcome back to Real Life with Lindsay. My name is Lindsay and I'm so happy that you decided to join me here today. Today we're going to talk about a bit of a heavy topic and it can be a trigger for some people. So I'm just going to tell you right now, it's going to be something kind of different maybe that you haven't seen in the planner community talked about as much. But it is definitely something that I think needs to be talked about. So we're going to be talking today about mental health. So if you're not in a place to hear it, specifically we're going to be talking about anxiety and depression and a little bit of eating disorder things. So if you're not in a place to hear it, I 100% respect that. And I just want to tell you before I go forward to kind of as a warning, and if you need to click off, you need to click off, and you can catch me in my next video. No big deal. Okay? So I'm opening up, right? So that's the big thing here is I'm being very transparent, and it's scary. I would like to start off by saying I'm in a great place. These are all things that I've struggled with in the past. Do I still take medication for anxiety and depression? Yes. Is it managed? Yes. Does it interfere with my day-to-day life? 100% of the time? No. 90% of the time? No. 95? No. It's like 5% of the time does it interfere with my day-to-day life. Very rarely. And usually I can predict it, and I've gotten better at spotting it before it happens and kind of cutting it off at the head, so to speak. So let's get into it. How does this tie into planning? In 2013 is when I started my planning journey, and I have a video that I already talked about that in, and I will link it up above. And I went through a pretty big life change. I went from working full-time, being a little Miss Independent, to being really reliant on someone else. And so there's a lot of trust that was put out there. And there was a self-imposed, I cannot say this enough. This was never communicated as an expectation for me. You know, this was not my other half's expectation of me. But there was a self-imposed identity of housewife that I strived to meet and portray. And this again was in 2013, 7 years ago. And there was mental health stuff before that, but we're going to talk only about how it ties in with my planning community life. And so I really felt the pressure to be successful. I've always been a perfectionist. I've always been an overachiever. And when I go in for something, I go in hard for something. And that can be unhealthy at times and lead to unhealthy habits and behaviors. You know, not taking care of yourself and shutting people out. Definitely. And so I got the planner to hopefully help me juggle everything so that I could be Little Miss Perfect instead of Little Miss Independent. If I wasn't going to be independent, I was going to be perfect, right? I was going to have a clean house, cook, get good grades in college, graduate, become, like, I had like this whole thing mapped out. But sometimes you set unrealistic expectations of yourself and you set the bar too high, and the stress to meet that bar breaks you, or the stress to meet that bar causes the bar to fall, and that breaks you. And that was my case. The first one, not the second one. And so I had all of these high expectations for myself to be successful. And I cracked under the pressure. And I started seeing a therapist to really help with my anxiety. I was in a pretty bad car accident in 2012, and I suffered crippling anxiety when getting in the car after that. Like, I would freak out if we went over 60. I held the passenger side door handle the whole entire time. And so there was some leftover anxiety about that. I was really getting self-conscious about putting weight on. I'm almost 6 feet tall. I'm very tall. I'm 5'10". And I've always been naturally thin. But of course, as you get older, that doesn't happen. And I was eating like crap. And so, I worked at a diner for 4 years. I was not eating the best. Before I worked at the doctor's office, I worked at the diner anyhow. So and then all that stress manifested into more criticism of myself. And if I got a B, that was unacceptable. I only wanted A's. It was a lot of pressure that I put on myself, and unnecessary pressure, right? I'm not going to be a great math student ever. I'm not ever going to be the world's best cook. I'm not ever going to be or have the perfect body. But that's the thing, like, perfection hasn't been defined. Like, we've never experienced perfection, so how do we know what perfection is? And everybody's perception of perfection is different, you know? And so to hold ourselves to one standard of perfection is ludicrous. Now, back then, I thought that these words coming out of my mouth were ludicrous. Again, 7 years and lots of therapy later, and a good medication regimen. And so that's why I started planning, was to kind of help me be the most perfect version of myself, I thought. And it manifested and it morphed into a very controlling and unhealthy behavior, in that if it wasn't on the planner, it wasn't getting done. If it wasn't planned out, then it wasn't happening. If I didn't have time for it, sorry. And I'm talking about to the nth degree, like even in my personal life, like, okay, well, I have all of these things that are going to be happening, and no, we can't go on a spur of the moment vacation. We can't go on a spur of the moment drive. We can't go to spur of the moment dinner. I have dinner planned out. I've had this many calories, or I have done this, or, you know, and so it really manifested into an unhealthy controlling behavior. Very much so. And you know, most people would have stopped planning and been like, okay, well, if it was, and you're probably thinking, well, okay, well, if it was doing that, then why are you still planning? Like, but the planner wasn't the problem. I was the problem. My mindset was the problem, right? So after years of trial and error and therapy and some harsh words with myself and some truth bombs with myself and some realizations and some change, I today am more content and at peace using my planner than I ever have before. And I really attribute a lot of that to my current therapist. You know, she has a saying that I have really embodied in my life, and that if that's not my mess, that's not my mess, that's your mess. So I'm going to leave that mess over there. Sorry about that, guys. I had to format my SD card, so if it looks a little different, that's why. I don't remember where I was at or where I left off, but basically my desire to be, you know, obtain this level of perfection by using my planner morphed into a really unhealthy mindset and behavior of controlling behaviors. So, an inflexibility, like very rigid, very no. And that may work for some people, but that's not really how I want to live my life deep down. Let's get in the car and let's go to the beach. I don't even live close to the beach. I live like 6 hours away, but let's take the dogs on a random hike, So I like that spontaneity, and using my planner in the way that I was using it robbed me of that. I robbed myself of that. So I was having terrible anxiety. I I had to make sure I was getting everything done. I had to make sure when I was getting it done, it was perfect. I had to make sure I had to get a lot done in one day, or else I was, we were down to one income. It was going to be a waste of being on one income if I didn't get all this stuff done. And so I had this overwhelming anxiety to get all of these things accomplished in a day or a week or a month. And then when that didn't happen, it would spiral me into a depression of like, well, I'm not good enough, And, I'm still recovering from that I'm not good enough mindset, to be completely honest. There are still days that I have that. It's not as frequent or overpowering or as soul crushing as it used to be. But I still have that mindset. And so what I figured out through therapy is using my planner as an outlet for my anxiety, not as a catalyst for my anxiety. And what you oftentimes hear me say, like, that no white space gives me anxiety or stresses me out or something along those lines. And it's true. Like, I can't do no white space. I need to have flexibility, because the other part of that is other stuff that was coming up by feeling like I was trapped and I was confined. That all, to these things that I had to get done, that also gave me major anxiety. So it was just a vicious cycle that I had created by using my planner, and in an unhealthy way. And that's what that's my purpose for sharing this, is it's okay to not cross everything off your list. It's okay to step back and be like, wow, I overscheduled myself, or oh wow, I was overly ambitious on what I was going to get done today. And yes, therapy taught me a lot of that, but also having an autoimmune disorder has taught me that too. Like, it's okay to be absolutely exhausted for no reason other than your body's just exhausted today. A couple of weeks ago, it was our anniversary. I was getting ready to have surgery in a week. I was doing summer school. I was doing grad school. I was curriculum writing. My other half was about to go on vacation. And so I wanted to make sure I got all of these things done. So I needed to write a midterm. I needed to do grades. I needed to, I had this entire list. And I woke up on the Friday of the garage sale and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do the garage sale. I'm just not. Because it's not worth the stress of having to go to the bank, get cash out, sacrifice getting groceries, because I'm going to be sitting outside in the Texas heat doing a garage sale while trying to do my midterm. That was my mentality, because I was trying to get ahead with school too so that we could have time together while my other half was on vacation. And so, that mentality 7 years ago, I would have burned the candle at both ends to get everything done. I would have grocery shopped, done the garage sale, done my midterm. I would have multitasked like nobody's business to get everything done, and I would have been absolutely miserable and exhausted and crabby and cranky and snippy and short, and I would have affected the relationships with those I love. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. The $60, $70, $100, whatever I would have made at the garage sale, it's not worth my peace of mind. And so that's just a recent example of what I can think of when I say it's okay not to do something that's in your planner. I had research paper in my planner for 4 days before I actually sat down and I did it completely. Finish research paper, finish research paper, finish research paper. Guess what? It didn't bother me a bit to cross that off at the end of every day and move it to the next. Because that's the thing, guys. Things can be moved. Plans can be changed. And I think in the community, it's so tempting to be like, oh my gosh, well, this person got all this done and they do this and they had this and I need to do this and I could be doing this. And no, just no. that will lead you down a path of such unhealthy, like it will lead you to such an unhealthy mental place, whether you want to, like, and maybe you're not at a point where you're accepting that that's an unhealthy mental place, and maybe that's not unhealthy for you. Who am I to say? Like, that may be where you thrive. And I do thrive being busy and multitasking and having a lot on my plate, but I'm also learning to cherish and value my time to myself and my self-care time. And so I wanted to share my journey with you guys because I wanted you to see how you can go from using a planner that holds you to this level of expectation that may not be the most healthy level of expectation for yourself, and it causing other and inducing other things, other mental health things, to now using a planner and being completely at peace. And I don't plan very, very differently than I did from 2013. My style of planning hasn't changed. The way that I approach it changes. I mean, I have no room left to write today on how many things I want to get done today. But when I was sitting there messing with that SD card, trying to figure out the issue with it, I was like, well, I've got enough videos. I'm not worried about it. If I have to film tomorrow, I have to film tomorrow. Or if I have to film later next week, I'll film later next week. I'm not worried about it. Oh, I need to do a reflection paper today for grad school. Yeah? But I'm also hungry, and I also want to go watch an episode of That 70s Show and give myself a break for a second. And that's okay. And it's learning that it's okay. It's okay. That and the other thing I said at the beginning of the video, that's not my mess, that's your mess, that's not my mess, so leave that mess over there. That and it's okay have been the most freeing thing from my therapist. I can come in there railing, frazzled, a whole mess, and she'll be like, it's okay. It's okay to feel like that. That justification started allowing me to breathe more and more, and then I realized I can tell myself it's okay. It's okay that I didn't get my research paper done for 4 days. I still got it turned in. I still got a good grade on it. It's okay that I want to go eat lunch and watch a TV show and have some me time. That's okay. But what's not okay is continuing something that you know is unhealthy and that's leading you down a path of more destructive behaviors. You know, I was counting calories. I was being super hyper conscious of what I was eating to an unhealthy level. I was, exercising. I mean, I had so much that I was trying to accomplish. And it's okay that I can't get it all done. I triage it now. And that's why I tell my best friend, she will call me in a complete panic. I have so much to do today. I'm like, okay, breathe. Let's triage. What has to get done today? But there's no negotiation. And that's how I look at my planning now. I brain dump everything that I would like to get done in a day and map it out. And then I wake up that day and I'm like, how am I feeling? Am I feeling very productive today? What do I need to get done? Do I need to feel productive today? Do I need to put that motivational music on? Or can I just kind of bump some things and give myself some grace? That was my word last year for the new year, was grace. And it's something that I've continued to try to embody. So give yourself grace, guys. Give yourself some love. And use your planning experience, use your time in the planner community, use your planner as a place of peace, not as a place of anxiety. Don't let it create anxiety for you. One more thing that I wanted to talk about is buy the dang stickers. My best friend was going through this whole existential thing a couple years ago, and she bought a cow. And she lives in a rural area, and she didn't have the room where she lived for a cow, but her good friends did, and they had cows, and so she bought a cow. And that's been her motto, her mantra: life's too short, buy the cow. Well, let's take that to this. Life's too short, buy the stickers, buy the flare pins, buy that extra cover. I just ordered a cover from EC last night that I am just so excited to have on my planner. And it's so nerdy and something I'm so self-conscious about, but something I'm so excited about. So buy the planner, buy the liners, buy the flare pins, buy the washi, buy the stickers. Enjoy your time in the planner world. And don't let it create anxiety, unnecessary anxiety for you, because there's no reason for it to. Let it create your peace. So that's all I have to say today. I know it's a little bit out of the box, but I thought that you may, maybe you can take something from this, but I wanted to be open and transparent. You know, I still struggle with anxiety. I still struggle with depression, but like I said at the beginning of the video, it's minuscule to how it was. Now, is it still pretty significant? Yeah. To somebody that doesn't have anxiety or doesn't understand it, sure. But is it significant to me anymore? Not as much as it used to be. It doesn't rule my life anymore. And that makes me so happy. And it's all because I shifted my perspective. So, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for joining me here today. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Please be kind, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.